Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Muller here. Thanks for joining me for MeteoMark's Weather. What's going on here in the southeast? Everybody getting ready for the Memorial Day weekends? Well, there may be some wet Memorial Day time here in the southeast. Yeah, we got some sort of cutoff low or potentially something subtropical. We're going to go over that and all the details in this edition. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, question or comment down below, share the video. Let's get into it. And here we go with Typhoon Mawar here. Look at this. Guam taking a direct hit. You can see the island chain there, and eventually the storm over the next several days is going to be heading west-northwest and eventually slowing down and stalling. Will it affect northern Philippines, Taiwan, China, or is it on its way to Japan? And Typhoon Mawar here bearing down on Guam. All right, so let's take a look at Typhoon Mawar here. Bearing down on basically essentially Guam. Guam not receiving a major hit like this since you have to go all the way back to 2002. This is going to be devastating as we head throughout, the overnight hours into Thursday or Wednesday for that matter. But yeah, this is going to be a major system by this point of the 24th, heading on into the 25th. Yes, it'll be moving away, but much of the damage will be done. This is going to be a direct hit. You can see it's basically going to be on the southernmost major island here. And as we continue to watch this system just boom towards the northwest here, it's going to become a major super typhoon again. And look at this. The GFS is taking this curiously on the northern edge of the envelope. Is that some good news? Well, we're going to get into exact placement of what's going to happen with the troughs ridges system here. But you can see here's Taiwan, here's the northern part of the Philippines, and then we have Japan, and then there's China. So we're going to line this up and see exactly where this is going to head. We're going to go through a couple model runs here, see where the overall flow pattern is. And you can see the system really starts to slow down by the 28th here. So, yeah, this system's not done causing damage, unfortunately. It does start to wobble towards the northeast. As you can see, the GFS taking this more up towards Japan. You can see here is the frontal boundary. Let's just back it up just a little bit here, and we can see, as this thing comes in time, here is the 27th. So here's that frontal boundary. It's across China by this point, so it's all about timing with this frontal boundary. And as you can see here, we're going to continue to go in time and watch this frontal boundary drop to the southeast. So if it's a little bit quicker, it will pull this thing to the northeast. However, if it is slower, it will allow this system to bend a little more towards the west. This would put Taiwan here potentially in the crosshairs. However, the way things stand right now and the way things have been trending, it's looking like Japan. I don't want you to completely skip out of the woods here if you're in northern part of the Philippines. However, if you're in Japan, yeah, this thing's going to be weakening as it heads towards the north. However, one thing to note, it is a pretty strong typhoon for this time of year. So, yeah, the transition to extratropical, but look at this point. This is by the 31st. We're talking about next Wednesday, essentially, a week away about. So, we have plenty of time to watch this. However, if it were to come right into central Japan like this would be devastating. This would not be great. This island nation is really good at preparing for typhoons. However, this early in the season, this is quite remarkable. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on it. It does look really extratropical by that point, so obviously it wouldn't be a super typhoon, which is great news. You can see the intensity scales. It will be weakening by this point, if you can call 130 mile per hour with 160 mile per hour gusts. But eventually, as you can see, just a couple days from now, the 26th, it is a super typhoon with 160 mile per hour winds. So we're going to keep an eye on this thing, and let's run through some other model solutions here. All right, so let's take a look at one of the tropical models here, the HRRR. This is going to give us a good idea of where this system's headed. So this is basically where the track is kind of pivoting off of. You see the track. Now let's get to a model run here where we can get the whole rundown. So here it is. The next 12 to 24 hours in Guam, especially the southern Guam Islands here, it is going to be a terrible time of it. Look at that. Landfall right here. This is not good. This is going to be very destructive. The worst typhoon to hit the Guam since 2002. Now, look at this system as it pivots towards the northeast here. The models are tending to take this a little bit further north on the envelope here. So, if this trend continues, this might end up being good. Not good for Guam, but good in a sense as we head towards next week. This may allow the system to project a little bit more north and east quicker, but that remains to be seen. This system is on this model, this tropical model is on the northern end of the envelope, as you can see. And let's take a look here. We'll kind of get into the whole picture of it here. How's the evolution of this? So we're not going to be able to get too far into it, but this model is slowly taking it a little bit farther to the west here than the GFS model is. So there's our last run. I don't see, of course, you can't really see it on this because it's kind of zoomed in with the tropical entity. It's more of a mesoscale model. So we're not seeing the front up here, obviously, because it can't go beyond this point. But as you can see, even the outer band's kind of affecting parts of Taiwan here. So you start to see it slow down. One would think that, this model's eventually going to take it here towards the northeast as well. But we'll watch it here. Then we got plenty of time to watch this next week. All right, so let's take a look at what the Japan model here essentially is putting out, the JMA. Look at this. So, yeah, as we continue in time here, this becoming 966, 954. Yeah, this is probably not as strong as it's going to get. It's going to get a lot stronger than this, but this model's pushing it a little bit farther to the west, kind of more in line with the European model. All right, so as we take a look here on the GFS, look at this. So 945, 940. So this thing's going to go down 930. This is 928 millibars. This is by late Thursday night, early Friday morning. So this thing gets as low as 919, 915, 917, 921. Yeah, and the GFS, of course, is steering this. It's the most optimistic model, was steering this more towards the east. However, making a landfall there the middle of next week in Japan. Although by this point, it is pretty well extratropical. That does still cause some concern here for Japan, though, because look at that, 959 millibars. You got this thing coming up towards the central. If it does come up through the central part of Japan, that would target Tokyo, and this would not be a good situation. So, yeah, even though this is a little optimistic with bringing this towards the northeast, it does still clip Japan with a direct hit here, and that's of big concern. And I wanted to point out something real quick behind this system. Look at this. This is towards Monday, June 5th. Look at that. Another system potentially forming right behind it. You've got to be kidding me. This is going to be a really active pattern here into the Western Pacific. And before we bring the weather back to the States here in just a moment, take a look at this. I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease, or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark. So if you want the most professional, and customizable, off affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below, along with your discount code. So let's take a look at severe weather for your Wednesday. The big area is going to be here across the panhandle of Texas, Oklahoma, and parts of northeastern New Mexico. Damaging wind, large hail, isolated tornadoes. Also some strong thunderstorms up here. Marginal risk up towards Montana, southward towards northeastern Nevada. And as we head to Florida, yep, we could see some thunderstorms down here. Damaging wind, large hail potential, and a few thunderstorms up here in the northeast, but nothing severe. And as we head into Thursday, those thunderstorms continue. Only a little bit lower chance, a marginal risk through your Thursday here from panhandle of Texas all the way up to Denver, Colorado. All right, so let's take a look at your future radar here. We're looking overnight Tuesday night. Explosion of thunderstorms here across Texas. This is towards midnight, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. You're going to see some large hail, damaging winds, maybe some isolated tornadoes here. Look at heading towards Dallas-Fort Worth just before sunrise here. We're going to see some showers and thunderstorm activity around Florida. And look at this big front up here across southeast Canada. This is where it's going to cool down for Thursday and Friday. We do have some showers and thunderstorms springing up here in parts of central Canada. The wildfires have just been terrible up in this area. So please heed those fire warnings and advisories. And look at this as we continue through 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. That thunderstorm complex weekends across Texas. Here, parts of Florida, look at all this tropical moisture. And that is going to be that area of low pressure that starts to form that could possibly bring us a terrible Memorial Day weekends across parts of the southeast. And look at this thunderstorm complex heading towards the St. Lawrence Valley. This is 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. on Wednesday here. Look at this. So, yeah, if you're in the upper Susquehanna River Valley, Hudson River Valley, Catskills, Poconos, keep an eye out here. Some of these could contain some small hail and some gusty winds to 45 miles per hour. There's 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. So you can see the time frame of this front blasting through, and it's going to be much colder behind it. So in the evening hours, you're going to notice that wind shift, and things are really going to get cold. So look at that as we continue. That moves towards the southeast. You know, you can't rule out an isolated severe, but it's not going to be a widespread outbreak. Tropical moisture here around Florida continuing into your Wednesday evening. And look at the big thunderstorms forming around Texas here. Yeah, the panhandle's getting hit really hard again. So let's just back this up to 5 p.m. Look at it from Colorado, New Mexico. This complex really forms really rapidly and heads towards the southeast. Again, similar to Tuesday night's system. And that's going to continue towards the southeast and drop down pretty fast. So some of these, especially right in this area, could really see some high winds, damaging wind, large hail type thing, and maybe some isolated spin up with the tornado activity. But look at here across Florida, the tropical moisture is just pummeling here. If you just take a look at that, you can see the cyclonic motion here. We just go back and forth on the timeline. Lots and lots of moisture, and that's going to start to spin up towards the Carolinas here. All right, so synoptic view and Atlantic tropics. We're going to kind of combine this segment. I'm going to get to the rest of your segment here pretty quick here, but let's combine your synoptic and the tropics here. Take a look at this. So yeah, this is where we're going to see the potential for maybe something subtropical as we go towards Memorial Day weekend here. We don't really have too much else to talk about in the tropics here, but here it is. Here's the East Coast. This is going to be the big thing over the next several days. This thing's going to hang out. You know, it doesn't have anywhere to go. We got a big high pressure system blocking this thing pretty much across the whole part of Northeast North America here. So it's going to come up like this and slam into the coast. But it's going to send a series of waves up here along the southeast coast. You can see, look at how this kind of pivots. This is towards the 28th. We have another area of shower and thunderstorm activity that's moving up to the northeast here. That's going to continue to pivot towards the coastline here. So take a look at that. Yeah. And it does, according to this model, make it as far north as Virginia. Doesn't seem to make it much further north of the Mason-Dixon line here. So we're going to have to keep a look, an eye on this. This is going to bring not so great Memorial Day weekend. But you kind of see next week, look at as we continue to go, it just doesn't really want to go anywhere. It's kind of stuck here into the southeast, so we're going to continue with the clouds, the showers, the thunderstorms, and whatnot. We do start to see, some areas out here. Let's just back this up just a little bit here. Look at that. So we're going to see areas pivoting towards June 1st here across parts of the northern Caribbean up along the East Coast. And look at this. We're still dealing with this maybe a little bit farther north up the East Coast, but it never really truly gets into the Northeast. All right, so before we get into the entire European run here, surface map, let's take a look at the troughs and ridges axis here. Yeah, as we head into the weekend here, this is what we got to look forward to. This is the pattern that's setting up a massive ridge up here across the Great Lakes, the Northeast, and then there is that cutoff low across the Southeast. All right, so let's get going with your European run here. Take a look at this. So yeah, we're going to see those thunderstorms here from the Gulf Coast up through Texas and parts of eastern Colorado. That's going to continue through your Wednesday. There's that frontal boundary moving through the northeast as I showed you on the mesoscale. There is high pressure building in behind it, a cold high pressure system at that. And as we continue here towards South Florida, look at what's hanging out down here. It's agreeing pretty much with the GFS as we go in time. That high pressure system that's blasting southward here is going to be the big player for your Memorial Day weekend, because it's going to be the squeeze here between this low pressure system to the south and this high to the north. And there's going to be some major easterly winds barreling into the Carolinas here, promoting just some terrible beach erosion, some stiff northeast wind. It is going to be just not that good. And look at here across parts of Texas, there's those thunderstorms flaring up. But look along the southeast coast here. This looks a little bit indicative here of a nor'easter. It's kind of strung out here. You can see the frontal boundary. Will this become subtropical? Well, we'll have to see how long this holds out. It is possible by as we get towards, let's just continue there. As we get towards the weekend, this could potentially become something subtropical. You can see how it's just hanging out here. This high pressure system's not going anywhere. This is going to provide you with a beautiful summer-like weekend here across the northeast. Sad to say here across the Carolinas, especially South Carolina, it is just going to be miserable, even North Carolina into the parts of Georgia. And this is just going to continue. This kind of heads inland towards Memorial Day itself. It's kind of raining itself out. Southern Virginia gets in on the act as well as we get into next week. There's Wednesday, May 31st. It's kind of starting high pressure to drop southward here, so we're going to shut off the precipitation. Maybe some more severe weather here into parts of the plains. And as we continue in time here, you see another frontal boundary heading towards the northeast. But high pressure is going to be the rule Memorial Day week. So let's take a look at those liquid equivalent precipitation amounts. Into the northeast is just going to be with that frontal boundary that moves through Wednesday evening. So this, I'll zoom in momentarily, it'll be a quarter to as much as a half an inch, maybe up to an inch there in northern New England. Here across the southeast, this is where things really start to pile. Look at that right off the Carolinas there. Even into parts of the panhandle of Texas here into Oklahoma, north central Texas, you could get upwards of, say, 2 to as much as 4.5, maybe 5 inches of rain here. So watch out for that. That's not looking very good all the way up to the plains here. But look at this as we continue into next week. Yeah, if you look at Texas and Oklahoma and the Carolinas here, Florida, this is where you're going to see a lion's share of the rainfall. Look at here into the southeast. All right, so let's take a look at the southeastern rainfall here with that potential, system here. Look at this. This is not good. There's South Carolina bringing in a lot of rain here, anywhere from 3 to as much as 5 inches of rain here. Florida, you're getting 1, 2, maybe up to 3 here on the east coast of Florida. Then as you go up the east coast here, how far north is this rainfall shield going to make it? Well, here on the European run, it does not get as far, it doesn't get too much farther north than Richmond here. So from Richmond on southward here, this is where we're going to see 1, 2, and upwards of 3 to 5 inches of rain over towards South Carolina. And heading into the northeast here, yeah, this is mainly on Wednesday. That's basically your only day of rainfall here. And it's very sparse. From the Catskills, Poconos northeastward. You got to get up towards the Hudson Valley, upwards of a 1/4 inch of rain, and this is where you get the moisture up here to New England as the line of showers and thunderstorms here across New York and Pennsylvania will be a little more broken here back towards the southwest. And here we go, Texas. I want to show you this. Yeah, as we head through Memorial Day weekend, yeah, we're going to keep getting this area here. Just west of Dallas, northwest of Dallas. This is your area that's trouble spot. Look at this, 3 to 5 inches of rain. This is not looking good. The only good thing is this is a little bit farther to the northwest than the areas that got hit, last week. But still, this is going to send, a lot of these rivers and streams that travel downstream towards the Gulf. They're going to be running pretty high. And here we go, John. From the Islip, New York area, flash flooding and coastal flooding this past Saturday. Take a look at this. Yeah, not a very good situation going on. He had some very inclement weather here. Nice captures here, John, getting some flash flooding, coastal flooding here in Islip, New York. So taking a look at our temperatures here, we're going to take a look at your Wednesday. Look at this. Yeah, there's the cold front coming down through here. Ahead of it, you got 70s and 80s, and look at the 60s and even some 50s here to the north. That's going to blast in for your Thursday. So look at that. It's not even getting to the 60s here in Syracuse, Buffalo, up towards Burlington and northern part of Maine. Even lots of 60s here across the Pennsylvania into parts of New England. But look at this as we head towards your Friday. We're going to build this heat on the backside of this high pressure system. Look at this bubbling up through the plains, Florida and Texas. And watch this into Saturday. Yeah, this warming trend's really going to take effect. Look at this big old pot of 80s here. That's going to be pushing towards the east here as we head towards Sunday. Look at that. Even some 90s here along the Gulf Coast. But as we continue towards the east here, one thing to notice here is this system here hanging out across the southeast doesn't seem to be holding temperatures back that much. So there is hope that we will see some, breaks of sunshine here as well. But there'll be a lot of showers and thunderstorms in the area as well. But look at this. Upper 70s and low 80s Memorial Day. You can't beat that. Extended outlook for my hometown viewers. Binghamton to Scranton's Upper Susquehanna River Valley. Look at this. Wednesday we'll have that cold front dropping in, especially late afternoon between 2 and 8 p.m. and 4, especially 4 to 8 p.m. That's where we're going to see, showers and thunderstorms move in, but then front moves through. Look at that. Plummeting down to 37 overnight, only 64 for a high on Thursday. Friday, the rebound begins, but look at that. You might have a frosty start Friday morning, but look at this. By Saturday and Sunday, you're up towards the lower 80s. As always, thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Take a look at the links down below. I have my affiliate link for Trilogy maps, so if you want to get some of those, I do make a commission off those. I just wanted to disclose that, but go ahead and use the code MeteoMark to save 20%. Also, visit my Hurricane 2023 Outlook if you haven't already. Link at the end of this video and description down below. Don't forget Facebook MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Hurricane Northeastern for my tropical page, at MeteoMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com, Twitter at WeatherEastern. Thank you for joining me